Hi, how are you?
I'm not too bad, thanks. I'm still sitting in my car actually because it's raining really, really badly here.
Thanks for doing this. I appreciate it. I'm sorry with time zones. I know they're like terrible.
Oh, no problem at all. No problem. It's yeah, I just always get confused because it's like EST and GMT and I always forget which one's which. Because when you say like, yeah, I don't know, it just really confuses me.
I know it's sometimes like super hard because like it's like is it 5 hours? Is it 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock for you?
Yeah, well, it's 5 o'clock here now.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So I presume it's probably 12
Mhm.
there midday, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, cool.
It's always so confusing. Actually, the person who edits my audio lives in Spain because he that's where he's from. So I'm kind of
Oh,
getting
nice.
used to it, but
Yeah, you're probably sending him stuff and it's like 8 p.m. your time, and then for him it's like, it's like one a.m. and like 1 a.m. for him. So he's fast asleep, and you're probably wondering like, oh, why haven't I heard back yet?
yeah, it's terrible when we're like messaging each other because then he's like, I was not near my phone. Like it was like I'll text him really
Y-
early in the morning here, and he'll be like, guys, midday. Sorry.
Yeah, yeah, I get you. Because like I'm kind of like that too. Because like a lot of my sessions and stuff I've been doing in production days with people, it's been like like if I'm working with someone, like I was working with one of the guys, he's in San Francisco. So that's like 8 hour
Yeah.
difference for us. So he's like ringing me at like, 1 a.m. And for him, I suppose it's only like, 4 o'clock in the day or something. He's like, hey man. I'm like, I,
Yeah. A couple of my staffers live in California and Hawaii, so we're struggling through this pandemic
yeah.
to get used to it.
Hopefully now, like, wait, it'll all start again in the next few months or something. It'll all just kind of, come back to normal, hopefully, and everyone can finally like work face to face and
Yeah,
all that kind of stuff.
that would be nice. It would be very nice,
Yeah.
but who knows what's happening? I know next semester is probably online for us, so it's a process.
Um, yeah, it's rough. I think in Ireland it's not as bad at the moment. Like we're kind of, I suppose there's a second wave of it nearly, but like we're not as bad as in terms of cases and stuff as we were, and our lockdown is kind of starting to kind of go back to normal a little bit.
That's good. I'm from New York, so it's still
Oh,
really
nice! I
bad.
was actually supposed to be in New York for the first time in March, but no, I'm still scheduled to come over in September because I changed my flight, but I don't think I'm going to get the chance to come over that soon.
Yeah. New York is definitely something.
Yeah, well, I've got two friends from here who moved to New York last year, and they were saying to me, it's not good at the moment. It's not looking that pretty.
Yeah, I'm from Staten Island, so I am part of the city,
Oh,
but
nice.
yeah, no one normally knows where it is or what it is. I like to tell people it's a lot of trees. It's kind of like Jersey, but not. So,
Yeah, I get you. I get you. I was actually looking forward to. I had my whole trip planned out of where I was going and stuff. I was going to go out to. I had a session out in Staten Island, and then or in Jersey, and then I was gonna head out to Staten Island for the day after that. I was there for like 10 days, so I had each day kind of like, I don't know.
you were actually going to visit Staten Island. I'm sorry. Like, I don't even know anyone who would want to come here, and I'm from here.
Yeah, no, I was watching like tons of YouTube videos of just places to visit and stuff, and I was just like kind of like, well, like if I want to go to New York, I don't want to just go do the typical. Yeah, this is New York, this is Times Square, this is the Empire State Building, and that's it. Kind of wanted to see a bit of everything.
Well, if you do end up coming to Staten Island, School of Rock was filmed on my campus, so that's always.
Oh, nice. Yeah, yeah, that sounds cool.
So when Jack
That's
Black's in the
insane.
van pulling up to the big school building, that's where I had class.
Oh, nice. That's pretty cool. There you go. I was just like when you're watching, yeah, it's gonna rock.
Yeah, a
That's
lot of the
insane.
scenes were actually filmed on the island. So like even the Battle of the Band scene was filmed at one of the theaters, and it's pretty cool that we have that here.
Yeah, it's a bit of nostalgia though, right? Every time it's kind of prestigious for people to kind of go there. Then I guess, right?
Yeah, my school's a musical theater performance school and a Division One sports school. So I don't really know how they go together, but they do.
Oh, okay, that's fair. Yeah, it's like it's weird in Ireland. It's like we haven't really got many music schools. We've only got one. It's called BIM, which is like the British and Irish Institute of Modern Music. So it originally started in the UK, and then they introduced it here. So like we've literally got like one music college in Dublin, and then we've got a different college in a place called Cork, which is down south, and that's like I think that's just called the University of Music or something like that.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. I actually have a question for you that's kind of relating to this. Was there a moment where you knew like this is what you wanted to do with your life?
Yeah, I think like I was always into music, and I always like wrote songs, and I always performed and stuff. But I think by the time I was about 15 or 16, I kind of knew. I was like, okay, yeah, this is probably something I want to do professionally. But I guess in Ireland, like people have got like this weird mentality. Like, well, it's not as bad now. Not the case now. But maybe when I was like 15 or 16, it was like, the only way you could become like a musician if you're on like a typical like reality TV show, like Britain's Got Talent or like The X Factor or something like that. But I think Irish music is in like a really like cool and modern place now, especially with like thanks to Spotify and stuff, and obviously social media. But yeah, I think I always kind of had like music was always like my plan A, and it's still is my plan A. I don't really have a plan B. I don't think I will ever have a plan B, if that makes sense. I think if you have a plan B, it's kind of like you're not really like fully in plan A, if that makes sense.
No, that really does make sense. You did mention Spotify a little earlier. What is your opinion of streaming services like Spotify?
Great. Honestly, like for me, I guess as well with Spotify is they really just throw me out into like the public eye, which is great. I think I have about three, four. No, is it? Well, my fourth one's out this Friday. I have my fourth single out this Friday, and like they've been on like massive playlists, like big pop playlists, and it's gotten me a lot of attention. I signed my first publishing deal off the back of releasing my debut single on Spotify because it was like New Music Friday and stuff like that. So yeah, I think it's great for independent artists as well, just to try and get your name out there and stuff. And obviously, if the songs connect, Spotify are going to push them too. And even Spotify, I don't mean to keep mentioning Spotify, but even with Spotify, like they put on like writing camps and stuff. They've done like their first ever writing camp here in Ireland a couple of months ago before lockdown just kind of hit in. They're really emphasizing, that there is a big pop scene and R&B scene in Ireland. And then the same with like Apple Music and Deezer and stuff as well. Like, I mean, I think it's just a great way of spreading music now. It's so accessible to everybody.
No, I agree. I think they're great for exposure and
Definitely.
introducing
Definitely are. I mean,
tastemakers. Yeah.
yeah, but like even like the likes of Discover Weekly playlists and stuff, you just find people, or you find stuff like not that it's similar, it can be completely different things you listened to before, and then you just kind of like I always find like at least once a week, like I'm forever driving, so like once a week I'll throw on Spotify in my car and I'll hit Discover Weekly, and like sometimes I'll just find a song I'm obsessed with and I can't stop listening to, and then I found a new artist or a new band or something that I'm now a fan of,
I use Spotify every day. I kind of like to go down that rabbit hole of like looking at like fans also like or artists recommend to try to break up my own taste or like find new artists.
Yeah, big time. Yeah, no, definitely. I'm quite the same, I guess. I think when you're in like the songwriting scene, like I spend most of my time in London, writing and stuff like that. So I fly over quite frequently, and I think as well it's just like a nice hub over there. As everyone's always kind of checking, who's involved with which, and kind of introduce yourself. Like Instagram for songwriters and producers and stuff is kind of like LinkedIn to see, oh, who did this track. I like that side of production. Like you reach out and do sessions and stuff that way, or your publishers will set them up and stuff. So yeah, it's kind of cool. It's obviously a great platform, and it's kind of surprising we didn't have anything like that sooner.
Someone once told me that Spotify was created to stop people from illegally downloading music from like LimeWire.
Yeah, that makes sense, I guess. I mean, I think even I remember when I was younger, and probably partially guilty to it as well because I didn't realize what I was doing because I was so young. Was that like you would have a song on YouTube or on your phone and you were asking your friend to send it to you on Bluetooth or something, and then you would like have a ton of songs just downloaded into your phone, and like I never realized. I was like, because again, I was only like 8 or 9, 10, 11, 12, whatever. I had that illegally on my phone, And now being a musician, I'm like, it makes sense. Like musicians have to make a living as well. Like you can release songs every day, but I suppose you still need to make a living.
I do have like one slight gripe with Spotify, unfortunately. I always air my 2 cents on this because I feel like it should be something that's slightly changed. I don't think, like, as a listener, I should be seeing an artist's monthly listener counts. I think that should be kept for the business side of things. I know here some of my friends only listen to people because they have high monthly listener counts and they don't even really like their music. But I'm like, give
Yeah,
people a shot.
I think you're dead. I think you're dead right. I think that's a very good point. And I don't think it's just Spotify, though, to be honest. I think it's Instagram, and I think it's Twitter, and I think it's everything nowadays. It's just like we're in this kind of perception where if a big number is beside someone, it means that they're really good and they're popular and they're blah blah blah. But then there's a low number beside somebody, and it just means, oh well, they're probably not that good, you know. And that's kind of I suppose that's the era we're living in now at the moment. But yeah, I think, like, for myself, you know, if I see someone and I've got 1,000 monthly listeners, I'm still going to listen. You know, and because I decide myself if I like it or not. Someone else, the numbers don't define for me. But there is people who would be like that.
Yeah, I know it's so unfortunate. As I said, like, some of my friends do this all the time. And I'm like, give other artists a chance, because sometimes those artists who have like 1,000 monthly listeners are some of the most different artists that I've listened to. Like, I would say experimental probably is the best word, but
Yeah, definitely. But like, I think that's like I found this. I think they're from. I think they're actually Canadian. They're a band called Handsome Ghost. I don't know if you heard of them. But like that, you know, I found them on Discover Weekly, and they've, like, you know, they haven't got. I think they've got like 10,000 monthly listeners, or like 50,000, or anywhere between 10 and 50, because obviously it fluctuates with given how many people listen to you. But like, I'm obsessed with them, you know, and they're really really good, and they deserve like way more attention than they have. So I think it's like if people. Well, I think there is people who are just like, you know, they've got an open ear, and if it's music, it's music, and they like it, you know. But I think that's the approach to have them, really, because there's no right or wrong, and there's no like not cool and cool, because there's always, you know, it's taste for people. Like, people's got different tastes and different opinions on everything.
no, I definitely agree. I think a lot of it kind of boils down to like sometimes like the just not just Discover Weekly. It's like the algorithmic playlists that are created, like the daily mixes. Because I know, like, sometimes, I think they help in that regard too. Because, like, I found some of the artists I absolutely love just through my daily mix, and I probably would have never found them otherwise. So I like the fact that, like, you can find artists anywhere in the world. Like, we're not even in the same region.
No, well, here we are on Zoom.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I found. Like, you know, Spotify and like all these streaming platforms are great, because I mean, like, even myself, I don't know, maybe she's known over in the States, but Rita Ora, you know her? Yeah, so like I supported Rita Ora in Madrid like 2 years ago with a boy band, Why Don't We? They're from America as well. Correct? I think they are, right?
Yeah.
And then, so like, I mean, that all kind of came from Spotify and releasing my first single and stuff like that. So it's great in that sense. I mean, you can really kind of spread on, like, say for me, you know, like I could, like, you know, make a name for myself in Ireland, but I can also have the tools and the connection there to make bands outside of Ireland. You know, Ireland's a really small place, so it's kind of nice to be able to branch out a little bit.
So, I have a question that I get a lot of joy from this question. Can you please describe your sound for me in 3 words?
That's tough. Describe my sound in 3 words. Energetic. This is really tough. I don't know, energetic, fun, and honest, maybe. Depends on, I suppose, if it's a really if it's a ballad track, they're always brutally honest. But like, I mean, if they're ballads, pop tracks, I'm still just gonna have fun with them. But yeah, I don't know. That's a really hard question, because I think as well, I think just being like a full-time songwriter, because I don't just work for my own project and stuff. Like, I'm kind of always in the writing room with different people. So I'm always kind of wearing different hats every day. You know, that way.
Yeah, I just love the question because, like, I might not pick the same 3 words, and I love seeing how artists describe
Yeah.
themselves.
So what would you say then off the back of like my stuff then? Because I'm intrigued.
Oh no, give me 2 seconds. People don't ask me questions back, so I'm never prepared. Okay.
I know, yeah. That's why I tried to throw a curveball in there.
Okay. Um, clever. Let's start with clever.
Clever.
The lyrics
Okay.
are very clever, so I'll go with clever.
Thank you.
It's not just poppy. Like, I don't want to say poppy. That's a genre, but we'll stick that in there for now because we'll go with that. And
Yeah, well, it's the easiest way to describe it, I guess. If someone asks me, so what you do? I'm like, I guess pop, I guess.
but it's not just pop. There's like the soul component to it, so I guess soulful. Yeah, let's do
Well,
that.
like, I've grown up on like Justin Timberlake and Timberland and stuff like that, and obviously they've got it from like Michael Jackson and stuff, and Michael Jackson's got it from kind of soul music, and so yeah, I suppose it all kind of 30 years it all kind of influences people into different parts. So yeah, I'll take that.
What is your favorite part of a song that you've written?
Favorite part of a song I've written. Is that lyrically or is it that just in general?
Whatever you want.
Probably my next thing will be My Excuse. I'm really proud of the bass riff. I think I don't know, maybe that or like the chorus of Imagine. Not too sure. Hard to say.
So the new song's coming out Friday, correct?
New songs out this Friday. Be My Excuse. So I think it was technically Thursday midnight, but yeah.
Can you tell me the story behind the song?
Yeah. So it kind of came from I was in a session in London till like 5 a.m. and I was like staying the other side of London and all the tubes were like finished, so I couldn't get over to my B&B that I was staying in, so I slept in the studio and I had to go to the studio the next day, and I was in like for 10 a.m. so I had to walk to the other studio. I was like super tired, and we started like working on a session, and I just came up with this guitar riff, and then I kind of had in my head how to Be My Excuse, and the whole story kind of came about like, you know, when you're at a party and you just don't want to be there, and you can tell that like someone else doesn't want to be there too, so the two of you are kind of like, let's just get out of here and make our own fun. So that's the whole like element of the song. I was like, will you be my excuse? We can leave this party. I can think of a million things that I'd rather get up to. So it's kind of like it's a playful like upbeat kind of a song. I suppose the lyrics are a little bit cheeky, but I was just kind of having fun with this one. I wasn't taking myself too serious and stuff. And I don't know. I was kind of like in the headspace of what would I want to listen to right now, and that was how the song came about. It just kind of fell together really quickly.
I love those spur of the moment tracks. I feel like sometimes they just come together in a way where it just makes sense, and I love hearing stories like that.
Yeah, there's like not much else to it, which is funny because sometimes there is. Like sometimes people have like a really long story about a song, and it's something like this one was just like actually written in probably 40 minutes, which is great because sometimes you're on a session and you can be banging your head against the wall for 5 to 6 hours trying to come up with an idea.
What is your favorite part of the studio process?
Well, it's definitely not tracking instruments in it because I drive myself mad. I love it, but I drive myself mad because I'm just a bit of a perfectionist. I go, no, do it again. Sounds brutal. So do it again. And that's partially my fault. I'm just super critical of myself. But probably, I don't know. Probably getting to know when in new sessions is getting to know people really, and getting a vibe for each other, and just knowing that it's all about the music. But you know, then at the same time, there's nothing better than when you finish the song and you're playing it back through like really loud speakers, and the bass is kicking. So probably that part.
You mentioned instruments. What instruments do you play, and can you tell me how you picked that as your instrument of choice?
Well, mainly I play guitar. I play bass by ear, just simply because that's like kind of like playing the guitar. I guess, you know, I wouldn't be a pro bass player, but I just record my stuff at home and track bass when I need to. I play with a full band live, so the guys are probably way more experienced in their own instruments than I would be in their instruments, if that makes sense. I dabble a little bit in the keys, again by ear. So I've kind of always had like just a natural ear, so I taught myself how to play music. Picked up a guitar when I was like 16, and I just kind of went from there. Then yeah, and the rest of it's just been by ear. I would always kind of just sing melodies and then just play those melodies from ear. So kind of, I'm not. I probably wouldn't be the best drummer in the world, but I know how to program drums in the session. So definitely not. Oh yeah, definitely wouldn't be a good drummer actually.
Do you have perfect pitch? Or very good relative
I
pitch?
think I think I do. I think it's either a perfect pitch or relative pitch because I hadn't only had this conversation before. So basically, I don't have music theory because in my school and stuff, like we didn't have it. You can like there's very few schools in Ireland that it's compulsory or that's in school, so I didn't have an option to do it. So like I'm self-taught, and like I know like if you name a song, I can like, get the key like straight away without like if I heard it before, I know the key straight away. Um, so yeah, I think I have perfect pitch. Like if someone names a note, like I can sing the note and stuff. But probably more so if it's not trained, I guess it's probably relative pitch because I know with perfect pitch you have to train it to be like super good because I know Charlie Puth can just pick up a tune and he's like, this is an E flat minor, and it's just like, yeah, he's a wizard. He's just ridiculously clever and talented though.
You mentioned like in school, you didn't have the option to, I guess, have music as like a program. I know where I'm from. One of the things they made us do in 4th grade was you took a clapping test to see if you were musically inclined, and then they would play like different pitches to see if you could recognize if it was high, low, or middle. And it was one of the most interesting experiences that I've ever had.
Nice. Yeah, well, we had none. Like, I mean, I think the only thing we had in like primary school was, you would sing in the choir, or like there would always be a school choir, and that was because of church, because they're not like in Ireland like when you're, I don't think it's the same now because religions kind of always changing as well, but like all the primary schools were like primarily Catholic, and you'd be kind of singing like all kind of Irish religious hymns and stuff like that. But that was the only thing we ever had, which was really weird.
Yeah, where I'm from, we have like, I guess they're IB exams where you are. They're IP exams here. There's like AP Music Theory, where you actually like take a whole class on learning music theory to then take a placement exam in knowing music theory for college credit.
Yeah, because when I started in college, I only studied for like a year, in music, because then I kind of just, I guess doing it kind of started to take over, so I left college. Well, music theory was a new thing, and I was like, okay. Well, obviously I knew, what A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then you've got your sharps, your flats in the middle, and everything like that. But then it was just like, this is the Mixolydian scale, and this is the minor and major pentatonic, and this is all. I'm familiar with a few of them from just playing guitar and being self-taught, but then a lot of them was just like, I haven't a clue what this is. But then I guess you just kind of, the more you do, you get it, you pick up on it.
One of the things like that was always interesting to me is like you're playing the songs and like you can play it and read the music for it, but then you don't know the theory about it. So when I had to learn theory, it was like a huge, this is why we're doing what we're doing.
Yeah, but I think sometimes it can kind of take the fun out of the whole making music process. But it's great to know at the same time. I think that's the main thing with music, though. It's not to think of it as this technical thing, but just kind of more like a feeling.
I love that. I think
because if it sounds good and it feels good, I mean, then it is good. You can't really like, and then someone, oh well, theoretically it doesn't work because it's this, and this. But if it does feel right, it's obviously obviously serves some purpose.
Speaking of how music makes you feel, there's a question that, again, something I find super important, and I will be super philosophical about it in 2 seconds. What is your favorite album in your personal collection? And by personal collection, I mean you physically own it.
Physically own it? Possibly Maroon 5 Songs by Jane on vinyl, which is one of the best albums of all time. Or then Justify. I had it. I don't have it now. My car doesn't even have a CD. My car doesn't have a CD player, but Justified, Neptune and Justin Timberlake, that era too. Those 2 albums for me are probably like the most standard albums ever. And they're so timeless as well. Like even when if you listen to like, the production on Like I Love You by Justin Timberlake, it's just like it's just so timeless. It's just it matches, for me it matches everything that's out there right now.
Do you have the Songs About Jane variant, or do you have the black vinyl?
I have the deluxe vinyl, actually. My girlfriend got it for me one Christmas. So I got my first vinyl player, and I moved into like I think it was like when I moved out of home, when I moved out of my parents, and it's a double sided vinyl. So it's got like it's got some of the demo versions as well on the track. So it's got like the original "She Will Be Loved," which was not that much different from the single version, but it's just really cool to see how those kind of songs developed on.
The reason I asked this and I said I will be philosophical is because I think a person's favorite album says a lot about them. There's always like an emotional connection to it, or like, I don't know, I feel like owning a tangible copy of it, it had to mean something to somebody to actually go out and have it.
To go out and buy it, yeah, definitely. I think that was actually funny enough with Songs About Jane, that album. That was the first physical album I ever owned, and I think I was like 6 or 7 when I got that. And then it's the first vinyl I ever owned too.
Do you collect vinyl,
So
or
I have a few. I only have a small, like I think I have two. I have the Songs About Jane one, and then I have Fleetwood Mac one actually, which is in. They're both in my old house, the old place I was renting. One of my friends still lives there, so I actually do need to go and pick those up. But I need to. That's one thing. I had a vinyl player in my old house, and I don't have one in the house I live in now. So I think I'm going to need to get a vinyl player for myself. Just I don't know. For some reason, it's just interesting, and it just sounds really nice on vinyl.
I like hearing the comparisons between the compressed audio file and then the format on vinyl, because sometimes like you can hear things that you didn't originally hear on the compressed file. So I love that about.
Yeah. Or if you got like decent set of headphones now as well, like I mean, if you like an audio technical and stuff, and you're listening, like you can just like you find things as you say that just are in tracks you didn't even know they were in.
Mm-hmm. So I'm going to segue to my next question, which is one we ask based on a question. Well, our PR director Grace was listening to the Little Peep songs that were released last year, and then Mac Miller's Circles came out, and we crafted this lovely question, which is super deep. What is your opinion of releasing an artist's unreleased music after they've passed away? Should it be released or should it not?
It's a tough question, I guess. I guess it was down to if it was planned to do, then yes, maybe. I don't know. It's a difficult question. It really depends on what the song was. Like I know for like Chester from Linkin Park, when that song died, I'm sorry for now I couldn't be around. And then a lot of the songs had different meanings, and obviously it's terrible how he died with suicide and stuff. But it's kind of sad to think that he was sending a message to someone like with that song. I'm sorry for now that I couldn't be around. So obviously it's kind of maybe a little bit too like it's obviously after the time it's been done, but he's kind of. I don't really get what I'm trying to say here, but I think you get the gist of what I'm trying to say. Is that like a long roundabout way is yes and no. I don't know. It's just a touch. For me, it's a touch. I just think it really depends on the situation. Like if they had a plan to release the music, then yes, and if they really wanted to, and that's like their dying wish, completely. But yeah, if it's just being done for commercial purposes, then definitely not.
So one of the reasons we ask this is we want to bring up the concept of artist wills are negotiating this into a contract. We know it's super morbid, but we think it's something that needs to be discussed since it's happening more prominently in the industry, unfortunately.
Yeah. I don't know, for me anyway, I think I'd be happy enough, like, if anything was to ever happen and music was still there and there was a fan base there that wanted to hear my music, then of course I would definitely be up for just letting my music be heard, and because I suppose otherwise it's just gonna sit in a Dropbox folder. So that's kind of my take on it, I guess.
I know like everyone has such very different viewpoints on this. I've had people compare this to Kurt Cobain's journal. I've had someone said if it's in my voice memos, never touch it. And then I had a singer of a band say, if God forbid something happens, don't carry on with his voice. Have somebody else sing the songs. I was like, okay, this is very interesting.
Yeah, no, I think I'd be okay at it myself. But that's just me saying that about myself. But I mean, if someone wanted to take a song and they're, I don't know, more than welcome to take it. If I'm not around to release it, and they like it, then do it.
So on that note, if you could change one thing about the music industry as it is today, what would it be and why?
Well, right now in this moment in time, I wish the gigs were back. Like, I think that's the first. That's the first thing. Just because I don't think I can take much more sitting around and just making music and not being able for people to listen to it. On a broader scale, if I could change one thing about music and why, I wish that people just gave, as we were saying earlier, I think people just gave it more of a chance rather than looking at the numbers to define how, the potential of an artist or what someone's trying to say musically, because at the end of the day, it should be about music and not about social media numbers and what you're doing and stuff like that.
I would probably change the same thing, honestly.
Yeah, like I do it. Like, I'm into the whole social media thing because I have to. I guess that's the only way in this day and age. But I think I'd be quite like, even like if I wasn't, maybe I would have an Instagram, but I think I'd be very private and stuff because like I know I spend a lot of time on social media, kind of partly to do my job. There are sectors that you really have to keep on top of, and they're such a great tool. Well, personally, if I wasn't a musician and this wasn't my profession, I probably wouldn't really be into it all that much.
Like, me personally, I feel like I'm not hip. I have no idea what I'm doing, like, social media wise.
Yeah, like TikTok and stuff for me, like they're on my phone, but they're not used. Like, it's Instagram. It's Instagram, and that's it pretty much. Like, I have Twitter. I use Twitter. I check up on it. I really just tweet on Twitter, and I reply to people who reply to me and stuff like that. But I wouldn't really look at stuff on Twitter, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Facebook is just kind of, at this stage, it's just like this old person's app. So I mean, I'll just like text family members on it and stuff, and maybe upload a photo, just let them know what I'm up to. But that's about it.
I don't know if I'm too old.
Yeah, I seen this morning though that apparently the US are gonna put a ban on TikTok.
Oh really? This one was asked at a freshman orientation, and the question is, if you can be any item in the kitchen, what would you be and why?
Maybe any item in the kitchen, what would I be and why? Kind of funny thought, but I'm not gonna say that one. Probably a coffee machine. I don't know. I like coffee, like making coffee, so maybe coffee machine.
So when we were asked this question as freshmen, you don't know anyone obviously, and you're like sitting in a little circle on an oval. This is your introduction. This is your icebreaker. I told people I'd be a knife because I have a sharp wit.
You'd be a knife because you're sharp wit. That's a good one.
Thank you. I think it just gets worse every time I say it.
That's not too bad. It wasn't as bad as the one I was going to say first.
I've heard some really strange answers, so it's okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think. I'm brutal at like trying to think on my feet with those like kind of witty one-liners. I'm not that clever.
Yeah, I probably rehearsed that in my head like 10 times before I actually said it out loud at orientation, but it kind of stuck. Here we are.
Yeah, that's a good one.
For my own knowledge, what music are you currently listening to, if any?
What am I listening to right now? I'm listening to a good bit of a band called Loot. I don't know if you heard of those guys, but they're spelled Loote. And I'm listening to Charlie Puth's new single Girlfriend just non-stop.
This question always helps me broaden my own horizons of what I should be listening to.
Probably listen to a good bit of Dermot Kennedy as well. I don't know if you know Dermot Kennedy. He's also an Irish act.
Okay.
Pretty big now. He was on Ellen. I think that's where he kind of broke a bit in America. Really, really cool artist.
I feel like my own taste is very outside of. I'm like very confined to a genre, and it's something else. I listen to a lot of like post-hardcore bands and pop punk. LOL. And I did the Spotify thing where it's like, what have you been listening to during quarantine? And like it rates you compared to like other people living in your country. And it was like, you don't listen to happy music. And I was like, oh good. It's like my happiest songs. Like It was so bad.
Well, it's pretty. Most of the happiest melodies, you listen to them lyrically, they're quite negative.
Right. That's very true.
It's the key to a good. It's the key to a good pop song.
That is very true. But I think that's like one of the best ways to have it, because some days you're like listening to the melody because you want to be happy, but other times you're listening to the lyrics and it's a completely different experience with the same song.
Definitely. You're dead right when you say that.
Like, personally for me, one of the things that I've been doing over quarantine is listening to albums in full, because I never used to do that until I had time. So it's been a completely different experience, like actually sitting through the album and listening to it in the track list order that the artist created it in.
Yeah, I was at Mike Posner's latest album. It's made to be listened to from, obviously right from the first track to the last track. It's a really nice like 45 minutes to spend.
I will have to check it out. My normal example for this is Fandom by Waterparks.
Nice, that's a good choice actually. But it's like the Mike Posner one. I got a completely different meaning on it when I was presumed him from like I took it to the beat and cut it in me, and then he dropped this album. It was just like a completely different thing. It was a real experience, and then obviously I kind of kept tabs on him then online and stuff. And he spent like a whole year like walking from coast to coast in America.
That's pretty interesting. Like,
yeah, he's probably one of my favorite artists at the moment, to be honest.
He's very creative. From like the stuff I remember listening to, hasn't been on my radar in a while, but I will have to circle back and check out his new stuff.
Yeah, you definitely should.
One of the things that I do find interesting about like when an artist is releasing an album is their choice in singles. Since I know like I love Boston Manor, I think they're a fantastic band. I hated the singles they released for Glue, but I thought the album was one of the best albums I've heard during quarantine. So it's always mind-blowing to me to think like why did they pick the singles, because I don't think they did the album justice, but whatever.
I think sometimes that's down to a record label too, unless they're independent. But yeah, I think it's subjective to people. I think my reasoning for being I wouldn't drop an album anytime soon because I feel like I'm still kind of growing my artist project and stuff. But I think with me, if I was to do singles, I would just personally pick my favorites. And that being said, is because not because they're someone else's favorites, but because it's my body of work.
I think that's a great way to do it, because like it's representing you in a way you want to be represented.
Yeah, and I think as well, like you're doing those things for yourself, and you have fans that are big fans of your music, and I think that's the whole thing, is being yourself is the reason why people like you or maybe follow you.
Mm-hmm. Very authentic. You know what? That should have been one of my 3 words.
Yeah.
That's better than Poppy. So, have you been to America before?
No, not yet. So this was the year I was supposed to be going to New York, Nashville, and LA this year, and now none of that's happened because of COVID-19.
Yeah.
And then I have to postpone that now for a year. So that's going to be a bit of a nightmare.
So I do have one last question for you, because I don't want to keep you too long. What are your goals for 2020? You can do the year or the decade, because the year's kind of been canceled.
2020 probably the year to just kind of, I don't know, expand beyond Ireland with my artist project, and hopefully gear up for a fun 2021.
Well, again, I really appreciate you speaking with me. Sorry you were like sitting in your car and it was raining really hard. But thank you for chatting. It was a pleasure.
No, thanks so much for having me. All right, thank you. Cheers.
Enjoy
Thanks,
the rest of your
Jeanine.
day. Bye.
Chat to you soon. Thank you. You too. Bye.